Marina's communication with her husband is now limited to 15 minutes per week over the phone. She is unable to come in person to the prison due to a back injury. It takes her 10 hours to get to the colony where her husband Alexei is imprisoned.
7 hours at the checkpoint and then some walking, and then there are the bags. The visit is 4 hours once a month. A lot visit is allowed only every 3 months, but nobody takes those because there are no accommodations for that.
Marina's husband was sentenced for life and has been in the colony number 52 in Yenakiyeve for the past 16 years. His wife says that shortly after the occupation of this part of Donbass, almost all of the inmates asked to be transferred to penitentiaries located in the government-controlled territory of Ukraine. Their requests were denied. Prisoners have to put up with the lack of running water, electricity and heating in winter.
He had toothache. He couldn't have his tooth removed for 6 months. He just had to suffer through it. If you're in pain or feel unwell, all you get is a painkiller pill that passed an expiration date.
Alexei used some of his telephone time allocation to talk to us. He complained about the quality of food and about forced labor. When we refuse to do something and go on a hunger strike, they just put us in a solitary confinement because that's considered a transgression. But is it a transgression if we're just fighting for our rights? The prisoners are forced to sew uniforms and bed linens, says Alexei's cellmate. They receive a paltry sum for this work. Last month, they made 32 Russian rubles, roughly half a US dollar. They categorically refuse to transfer me. I'm suing manufacturer specialists and there's nobody else who knows anything about this. So they keep me there and make me work for free. In case I refuse, they threaten to take measures to force me. Human rights advocates report that in certain cases, the occupation authorities artificially increase prison terms for the inmates. Maxim has been released 18 months ago. His 7-year sentence was increased by 2.5 years based on some new law of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic. The real reason became clear when Maxim was offered freedom in exchange for his house. I served 6 years and 11 months, and they said, "Do you want to go home early? Give us your house." "But where am I to live then?" "You'll find somewhere to live," they said. He was taken out of the colony and given 24 hours to leave Donetsk. Leaving all his possessions and documents behind, Maxim moved to the Ukrainian-controlled city of Mariupol. This notice is not enough to rent a flat, but anyway, sooner or later I'll have to find a home of my own. I don't want to live at someone's expense or be dependent on the state. I want to provide for myself. I work. I'm a builder. According to representatives of the Red Cross, international human rights organizations are not allowed access to any of the penitentiaries on the occupied territory in the east of Ukraine. About 10,000 people are detained on the occupied territory. And since we don't have access to these prisons, we cannot say anything about the conditions in which these people are kept. Since the beginning of the occupation in 2014, Ukraine managed to arrange the transfer of 147 inmates from prison in Donetsk regions. None have been moved from the ones in Luhansk. There's nobody to negotiate with, while in Donetsk region they have a so-called ministry tasked with transferring prisoners. In Luhansk region, there is nobody. In the meantime, Marina is preparing paperwork to be sent to relevant bodies and the president of Ukraine. She still hopes to see her husband soon.